Very happy Wednesday to you now, August the 12th here. Game time decisions on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio. We have got you covered here over the next few hours as we've got a lot of afternoon baseball going on right now. A couple of games in the books, including the Baltimore Orioles losing once again to the Minnesota Twins. Oh, yeah, by the way, the Phillies forgot how to score runs. They lost to St. Louis 7-1, but good news is a lot more baseball coming up and 4 games currently underway. We're going to get you caught up with all of it. We're going to get you prepped, of course, for these games coming up a little bit later, not to mention 24 hours away from week 1 of the NFL preseason. Still not quite sure who the quarterbacks are going to be in some spots, but heck, that's what makes this so much fun. But currently, Tom, 4 games underway right now. Some just awful baseball being played by some teams here. Arizona in the bottom of the 5th is losing 6-1 to Ryan Feltner and the Colorado Rockies. Not a good look for Arizona at all. And the Athletics are just a click above a AA team, my man. Watching this game here today is borderline nauseous. Is this going to be a 9-0 Tampa Bay West Coast road trip as they have off tomorrow and fly back home for Friday? I don't think they've lost a game out west, have they?
Not recently, they haven't. They're on fire right now. If you've been betting Rays team totals, Rays run lines, any type of player props of HRR, they are cashing them all over this stretch. And great, they did so against a good Mariners team. They're pounding the Athletics over the last few days as it goes on today. The Diamondbacks look terrible. This was shaping up to be a big week for the Diamondbacks. Hey, you're at home, you get the Rockies. We're in the midst of an extremely tight NL wildcard race. Let's take 2 out of 3. Well, they lost last night. They're down 6-1, as you said. It does not look good for the Diamondbacks right now. They have a tough stretch of games coming up, going up against the Braves, the Red Sox, the Cubs. So if you are a Diamondbacks backer, not what you want to see going up against the Rockies. We have some other games underway. The Brewers are trying to get back on track. We have more games coming up tonight. As you said, we have preseason NFL football tomorrow and all weekend. We're getting more injuries, more notes, more news across the NFL. We're 26-ish days away from the start of that. We're less than 2 weeks away or so from, or 2.5 weeks away, whatever it is, for college opening up. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is. It's a beautiful time of year as we're trying to really separate some of these contenders from pretenders down the stretch here in Major League Baseball, but it's getting harder and harder to do that. I really don't know what to make of this Milwaukee team here, who I thought they had a pretty good shot last night with the right guy on the mound with Kyle Harris going up against Walker. Boy, that didn't work out well at all. He got absolutely smacked. And, at some point, the small ball is great. But, I'm really starting to worry whether, how many 2-0, 2-1 games is Milwaukee going to win in the postseason? Because the more I watch that team, the more that's how they're going to have to win, because I don't think home runs are going to be a part of any postseason success for them.
It's really not. And this is why I had, so many issues with what they did at the deadline. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. The bottom portion of their lineup is not good. It isn't. And that's just a fact. And you have great pitching and they're calling up players, and you get to the back end of the bullpen, as Craig and I always talk about on Pro Baseball today. You get to 7-8-9 with the Brewers, against the Brewers, you probably lose that game. Because the back end of the bullpen is great. They can have multiple pitchers go 5-6 innings and only give up 1 or 2 runs. But when your offense can't score 1 or 2 runs, and the top of the lineup's great, as I've said before, those top 4 hitters that they have are awesome. But those hitters are also going to go through their natural fluctuations of ups and downs because it's baseball. And if you don't have a bottom half of the lineup that can, compensate for that, they will get smoked by the Dodgers. And again, I'm going to say that the Braves are still the best team outside the Dodgers in the NL. I like that lineup, and they don't have the pitching that the Brewers have, but we need to find something else. And if the Brewers, it means calling up a prospect, injecting some type of life into that lineup, that's what they need to do.
Yeah, they're going to have to show me a little something down the stretch, especially against some of the better competition, because For the Padres, it's been about the long ball. It's been about home runs, and they're on quite the stretch right now. You got to be able to hit home runs in the postseason if you're going to make a run out of it. But right now, 2-1, top of the fourth. I think Arizona is just now doubled in a run here, so that's 6-2 in the bottom of the fifth. And I do believe still 1-0 Giants on top of Houston. They too are in the fifth inning there out at Oracle. Couple of other headlines we got today. Of course, we learned earlier that the Lakers are worth a lot of money. How much money? $12.5 billion worth of money. That is I believe, the sale price to former Disney exec there, Bob Iger, and his group. Same group of people, I think, that are affiliated with owning the Dodgers there, Tom. So there's going to be some sort of, well, of course, right? Who else is just in the couch cushions going to pull out $12.5 billion and take it over from the Buss family? Kudos to the Lakers organization, and kudos to Russell Westbrook. We learned after 18 seasons, he is, I believe, the all-time triple-double leader. He's like the triple-double king of the NBA. 18 years, he is calling it a career. And boy, what could have been, I still say he's one of those guys, what could have been. But man, Durant and Harden in OKC could not wait to get away from him. They could have won multiple championships had they actually put it all together, but he still had a pretty good career for 18 years in the NBA for sure.
He certainly did. The last few years weren't great. I know a lot of people are going to hold that against him, but we're talking about an MVP player. He has a lot of accolades. Like you said, the triple doubles, averaging a triple double throughout the entirety of the season is a tough thing to do. He did that. The conversation is going to turn to whether or not he goes into the Hall, whether, this, that, or the other thing. I think we just give him his props, whether, we like the way the end of his career ended, which wasn't great, a lot of missed shots, but he was successful throughout his 18 years. And it was fun to watch. He's a fun player, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, one of two players in the history of the NBA, the other being LeBron, to have more than 25,000 points and 10,000 assists in his career. The numbers, you play 18 years, you're going to rack up some numbers there. 14th all-time scoring, 5th in assists all-time, which is kind of crazy as well. He averaged almost 21 points a game, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, he was excellent. He was also a ball hog for for a lot of those years. But absolutely, I don't see there being a reason with the Hall of Fame. Do you?
I don't. I know people will kind of knock him for his efficiency, especially in the back half of his career. He just wasn't an efficient player. And that's what it comes down to. Like, he has a lot of stats. He played a long time. He has a volume of stats. It wasn't, a finesse game. But I think he'll get in. I know some people will hold some things against every player, as we see for, every league, every hall.
Yes. Yeah. Well, of course, they'll always have. This is, the same type of voters that couldn't decide if Mariano Rivera should have been, a first ballot holder. But yeah, don't get me started with that. I am with you there. So the NBA never sleeps. Major League Baseball off and running. And, of course, some preseason football coming up tomorrow to kick it all off. And I believe they announced earlier today that Tua is going to play tomorrow, I believe, for the Atlanta Falcons. But the big problem we've got, Tom, is that nobody wants to seem to announce that, Penix is not going to be ready for the start of the year. So if Tua is not the starting quarterback, who is exactly on the Atlanta Falcons? Stefanski trying to play coy there. We'll see how long that lasts, but we'll get our first look at Tua in a new outfit, the Atlanta Falcons. That is coming up tomorrow, and we're going to learn a little something about some of these other quarterback battles as well. We'll run down the list for you as we're just getting started. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
For me, Ohtani is the MVP, even if he pitches 15 games a year and that's it. The guy's the best hitter in baseball, or one of them, and pitches, even if it's 15 games a year and he's great, sign me up. I think he still wins, but I think I like the other investments there.
Yeah, I would say we're in total agreement on this. Ohtani's going to win the award, but that doesn't mean that A, he's a good investment at this point, and B, another player isn't a good investment.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What Michigan have to play versus Penn State is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, like, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the it's incredible.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You know, the dark days are ahead for the Warriors. And when Curry and Kerr and Draymond all leave, what are we going to be looking at that franchise that has been a mainstay of the NBA, you know, the face of the NBA and NBA playoffs for so long? Where are they going to be? So I see no issue with them bringing Draymond back. Why not? You have one last go at things with the trio that they still have there. But I see this as a very long season.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Just can't win the big game. He can't get us in the big game. Well, we got to let him go now because we're tired. We'll keep the quarterback. So, you know what I've been saying? Okay, you kept the quarterback. Guess what? Mr. Lamar Jackson, it's on you now.
Hey,
It's on you.
Absolutely.
Right? It's on Lamar.
It is. It is totally on him now and the new coaching staff there.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Here we go. Game time decisions on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio as we've got some Major League Baseball going on right now. A couple of low-scoring games right now. Still 2-1 with Milwaukee on top of the Padres. Milwaukee trying to salvage anything at this point. They've lost the first couple of games of this series here. 1-0 San Francisco on top of Houston. Rockies up 6-2 over the Diamondbacks, and the Athletics are playing, but really Tampa's probably already won that game. NFL tomorrow, Tom. We got some interesting quarterback battles, I think, coming in to preseason, and one that I'm still laughing at. We were just talking. The Kevin Stefanski, new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, said, "Yep, Tua is going to be the starting quarterback tomorrow for the first preseason game." And the next logical question from the press poll was, well, is he your week one starter? I'm guessing, right? Six Penix is not. And Stefanski gives the old, yeah, we're not really ready to name a week one starter yet. Who were some of the other names that could be enough? Because it won't be Penix. We know that. So it's either Tua or what are we dealing with here? Who else could it possibly be?
Right now, listed QB3 is Cooper Rush for the Falcons, who he has NFL experience. He's played in NFL games. He's started NFL games.
Yep.
Whether or not we think those were good or bad or acceptable or whatever it is, he has some experience. So I assume he'll get a good amount of run in that in that game for them. They're playing Denver, which is always interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a proven team versus a new team. That's really interesting. I got to say, for tomorrow's slate, the most interesting game to me is Pittsburgh versus Green Bay. It's a 1.5 point spread. Pittsburgh's at home. You know, part of me kind of likes Pittsburgh in this spot. McCarthy going up against his former team. You know, I haven't seen the official word. I'm not expecting Aaron Rodgers to play, but Mason Rudolph and Drew Allard, we have actually somewhat of competent QB play for the Steelers. Also, I don't know if McCarthy wants to, bring it to his former team. But again, you want to have a change in culture. He's taking over after Tomlin, who was there forever. So, a turning point in the franchise and getting off on the right foot, I think, is big. So the Steelers are at least somewhat intriguing to me tomorrow.
Yeah, they are. I think that whole year with McCarthy is going to be extremely interesting to see where they go, how does it all come together? Man, there's a lot of age in that locker room there. So we're going to see. I'm also very interested to see if, a 48-year-old quarterback is going to start, or is a $250 million overpriced quarterback going to start for the Browns? Who is the Browns starting quarterback? And the reason we don't know is Todd Monken was asked, who's going to play in the preseason game? Forget about naming a starter for the year. Who's your starter for the first preseason game? And the answer was, don't know. But whoever it is, they're going to play the first half. So we're going to get a half from whoever they start. The problem is it Deshaun Watson? Is it Shador Singh? Does it even matter at this point? Or is Deshaun Watson just a guy, you've paid him all of this money, come hell or high water, you're going to get some money's worth out of it at some point here?
I think Deshaun Watson is going to be starting week 1. I've said this for a couple of months at this point, and I think it's because of that. They just need to justify it to themselves as the Browns front office is like, hey, we traded for him. We gave up those picks. We paid him. We might as well start him, right? Like, we might as well. We have to. Like, we have to at least do it just for some self-validation that they need to have him out there. I don't know if he'll be out there for long. Sanders is going to be there. Dylan Gabriel has starting experience. They drafted Taylor Green this past draft. They have 4 quarterbacks that they're going to be rolling out throughout the preseason. Again, I think it's going to be Deshaun Watson. I don't think Deshaun Watson's good, but I do think he will be starting week 1 barring an injury.
Yeah, let's hope so, because otherwise that will go down as, single-handedly the worst contract ever in the history of it's got to be up there, Tom, right? I mean, Jamarcus Russell, first pick aside, and that was terrible. But this is what they gave up and paid for this guy is just, at some point, you got to roll him out there and he's got to play, and not just one game. Like, he's got to play a full season, no?
I think they have to do that, or the ownership, not the front office, whoever signed off on the Watson trade and extension, they need to come out and just be like, hand up, like, that was on me. We messed up. And you have to come out because you can't drag the fan base along, which has been a tortured fan base for decades at this point, especially at the quarterback position. But you can't drag them along and be like, oh, we'll figure it out. We'll draft another guy. We'll tank this year. We'll draft one of these top quarterbacks, next April. So you just have to remember, like, we messed up. And we set the franchise back, and I take responsibility. Like, someone has to come out and say that.
Yeah, and they better do. I think it's going to be a rough year for Browns fans once again. It's always a rough year, it feels like. But usually this time of year, Tom, is great hope for, franchises that usually aren't that good, right? So as Jet fans, we all understand that, this is the best time of year, right? Because the sky's the limit. It's good. And then week 1 or week 2 will set in, and then we'll be like, Geno Smith's our quarterback, huh? Yeah, so we're already moving on to the draft after week 2 here in the NFL season. It feels like the Browns are going to be that way. It feels like Arizona's going to be that way. But who's going to have the worst season this year? What's the one team, Tom, as you look down the list, that we can pretty much, they'll probably win every preseason game and win fewer regular season games when it's all said and done?
I think Arizona's in the running to be the worst team in the league. And I think legitimately we could be looking at a team. They also have a very tough schedule. There's real no motivation for them to win. A lot of people around, NFL Twitter, if you want to call it, they are not high on Nathaniel Hackett. They do not think he's a good offensive mind.
Terrible.
They have some really intriguing offensive talent. You draft Jeremiah Love. You have Trey McBride. You have Marv Harrison, who they want to get back on track to be this top player that they have. Michael Wilson was good, but it's like, what are we doing with Jacoby? Do we have an offensive line? Do we have talent on defense to even get us to 3 wins? That I'm not sure about.
Listen, don't sleep on the Miami Dolphins. They could be absolutely terrible this year. I mean, terrible. But with any luck and a little hope, it will be the Jets. So they can get the number 1 pick and we can put all of this behind us. We got more updates for you as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
For me, Ohtani is the MVP, even if he pitches 15 games a year and that's it. The guy's the best hitter in baseball, or one of them, and pitches, even if it's 15 games a year and he's great, sign me up. I think he still wins, but I think I like the other investments there.
Yeah, I would say we're in total agreement on this. Ohtani's going to win the award, but that doesn't mean that A, he's a good investment at this point, and B, another player isn't a good investment.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What Michigan have to play versus Penn State is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, like, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the it's incredible.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You know, the dark days are ahead for the Warriors. And when Curry and Kerr and Draymond all leave, what are we going to be looking at that franchise that has been a mainstay of the NBA, you know, the face of the NBA and NBA playoffs for so long? Where are they going to be? So I see no issue with them bringing Draymond back. Why not? You have one last go at things with the trio that they still have there. But I see this as a very long season.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Just can't win the big game. He can't get us in the big game. Well, we got to let him go now because we're tired. We'll keep the quarterback. So, you know what I've been saying? Okay, you kept the quarterback. Guess what? Mr. Lamar Jackson, it's on you now.
Hey,
It's on you.
Absolutely.
Right? It's on Lamar.
It is. It is totally on him now and the new coaching staff there.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio. And we were just laughing because they just came out with the first NFL coach fired markets yesterday, Tom. And, of course, Aaron Glenn and the Jets right up at the top there at a nice 2-to-1 price. Zach Taylor, Cincinnati, also hot seat. I think that's fair. Todd Bowles also in I just feel like Todd Bowles is getting set up to fail, though. Do you not get that feeling here in Tampa Bay? Like, what are you're leaving? You can't sign he's got no quarterback. You got no franchise quarterback. You've thoroughly done everything to make life miserable for Tampa Bay. It just feels like Tampa's this is a playthrough year, fire everyone, and hit the reset button. Mbuka, I believe, just got hurt earlier today as well in practice.
Yeah, it's a really weird situation for Tampa. You think that a team that's had relative stability over the past few years, like they haven't been great since Brady left. They can make the playoffs. Yep. They're always in contention to win the division. And now we have these reports coming out that, you know, Baker's not getting the contract or the offer that he wants. And he's saying, if, you know, once the season starts, he's going to wait till after the season. Vita Vea is requesting a trade. They say they're not trading him. Emeka Egbuka, got hurt earlier today at practice. You know, Mike Evans is gone. It's kind of all over the place. And I think the floor for the Bucs is really low. And they dealt with a lot of offensive line issues last year, a lot of injuries. Obviously, that's just the course of how things go in football. But I want to say the floor for them is real low. But also, if things go well, they can win that division. Well, they think that is a winnable division for them. The Saints, I think the Saints will be better than they were last year. I think the Panthers are not as good as they were last year. I think the Falcons can be interesting. But that's a winnable division for like three of those teams. Yet the Bucs could also end with like 5 or 6 wins. And it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I mean, the one position you need to lock up is quarterback. And the fact that you allowed that to get to the point where your starting quarterback, who basically have you not had him over the last couple of seasons, it would have been, you ain't even in a conversation. But you allowed that to get to a point now, Tom, where you went into the preseason and camps with him just, in front of a microphone, ripping like none of that is good at all here. I feel bad for Todd Bowles because I think the guy did a great job while he was there, but they are legit just setting him up to fail in a big way. And I thought, too, it was funny when the odds came out. I was always interested. All right, so who's untouchable? Like, who's got the longest odds to be the first coach fired here? And I thought for sure it would have been one of the new head coach, but the new head coaches aren't it. Joe Brady, Jesse Minter, they're in the same price category as Andy Reid, so anything is possible there. But there's only two guys that are untouchable according to the markets that will not be fired, or the first one to be fired anytime soon. And it's not that hard to figure out. Who do you think one of them is, Tom?
Well, who's got the most positive vibes going for him? You just won a Super Bowl. You're going to be good for a couple of years, right? Even if they make the playoffs, you lose in the first round. Even if they don't make the playoffs, the Seattle Seahawks were talking about Mike McDonald. Even if they don't, you say, listen, we dealt with injuries this year. It was a super tough. It was this, it was that, the other thing, blah, blah, blah. Like, listen, we'll be back to next year. It's him. And I would say Andy Reid has to be in that same category. Like, there's nothing that Andy Reid can do that would set him up to be fired. I just don't see no world. As long as Mahomes is there, Andy Reid will be there as well.
I'm with you. And Andy Reid and John Harbaugh in that same price range, like 200, 250 to 1. The other guy that's 500 to 1 with McDonald is Sean McVay. He's another guy that likely will not be going. I think McVay and McDonald are good to go. The guy that currently has a job that has been there, Vrabel, is almost 12 to 1. Vrabel is not losing his job anytime soon unless something else comes up. But I doubt that very much. Shane Steichen is the guy that has the most tenure right now that looks like he's single digits, 8 to 1, somewhere in that ballpark there. Shane Steichen's not on the hot seat, is he? I mean, Ballard should be. The GM should be on the hot seat for Indiana. I don't think Shane Steichen should be.
It's just that I think it's because the Colts are just swimming in mediocrity. It's like, they're good enough to have 7, 8, 9 wins. Maybe they make the playoffs. I don't think they'll be terrible. I don't think they'll be a 2-win team. But how long can you keep going through this? Like, we're fine. Again, they're in a somewhat winnable division. That's the issue that I have with some of these teams and the coaches. Like, they're just okay. And some ownership groups like that. It's like, hey, if you get us to 9 wins, we can be in the mix. Like, we're going to be the playoff team this year. And that sells tickets. So therefore, they like that.
And they just mortgaged their entire future for a couple of draft picks last year with the Jets. I don't get it. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid. All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio here as we've got some Major League Baseball underway right now, getting to be the middle part of the innings. Pretty good pitchers duel right now in San Diego. Robbie Ray started for the Padres, and Dusty May, the new Milwaukee Brewer there. Both guys, of course, starting the season with different teams. And 2-1 now, top of the fifth inning in this one here. And I think Rockies are still holding on, although there's runners all over the place here for Arizona, down 6-2 in the bottom of the sixth inning. 8-2, I think, Tampa on top of the Athletics there. That should not be a shock. Two finals, though, today. St. Louis handling Zach Wheeler in Philadelphia. This was a little surprising. What is this, the third outing in a row for Zach Wheeler that has not gone well for him or the Phillies here?
It hasn't. And listen, when you are dealing with a team, we were just talking about mediocrity in the last segment about the NFL. The Cardinals embody mediocre when it comes to the MLB. Mm-hmm. And you have back-to-back starts with Chris Sanchez and Zach Wheeler for the Phillies, and you lose both of them. That is a bad sign for the Phillies. And they've had some trouble on offense, and there were some rumblings before the trade deadline of, Bryce Harper saying that they need help and this, that, the other thing. But, man, losing back-to-back games with your two aces against a mediocre team is a sign of things to come. And, again, I still say that the Phillies have one of the best pitching staffs. They can go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers, at least when it comes to pitching. But they're never on the same page. The hitting is never on the same page as the pitching. The pitching is never, peaking at the same time as the hitting. And I'm starting to lose hope that the Phillies may even make the playoffs. Like, they are clinging to an NL wildcard spot right now.
It's amazing to me, the games that he has pitched, Wheeler, against some of the most mediocre offenses. In Miami, he lasted 3 innings, gave up 5 earned. Then Toronto, he gave up 4 earned, and now St. Louis, he's given up 4 earned in an effort today. I mean, it feels like maybe starting to slow down here a little bit. Maybe the innings are getting up there. And listen, if Paul Skeens can't win a game, should we really be shocked that Wheeler is slowing down a little bit here? And that's not a great sign for the postseason. Supposed to be ramping up, not ramping down here at this point, Tom. I think that could be an issue here in Philly for sure.
It can. You got to remember, Zach Wheeler started the season late from dating back to last season when he had thoracic outlet syndrome, and he started the year late. He came back and he looked pretty good, right when he immediately came back and up until recently. But, I don't want to say the wheels are falling off for the Phillies, but they need to get the boat turned quickly because this NL wildcard race is extremely tight. Now, granted, some of the other teams around them are also faltering, so they're still in it, and we still got 6 weeks left to play. But if you were to ask me right now, I would say the Phillies could make the playoffs, but they just wouldn't go anywhere, anywhere deep into it.
Yeah, it's not good there. And you want to talk about mediocre and middle of the road. You got two teams beating each other up today. Twins take another one there against the Orioles there, 7-5, banging out 14 hits. I mean, I don't know what Shane Baz is doing. I mean, he had 6 or 7 straight where he didn't give up more than 1 or 2 earned runs in a game, and he got lit up at Target Field here today. And the Twins win that series, I believe, right? So they took 2 or 3 from Baltimore. We thought Baltimore, by selling, was kind of kicking the can down the road, but the Twins were buyers at the deadline here. I mean, you still give the Twins an outside shot here?
I don't think the Twins are good. And I coming into the season, I was extremely low on the Twins. I said they were going to finish last in the AL Central, and thus far I'm wrong. But the Twins being buyers and then beating a team like the Orioles, who are not good to begin with, is just like confirmation bias. They're just like, oh look, it worked. Like, we're still in it. Like, we just took a series. We're in the wild card. We're like, really? If they would be matched up against any team in the wild card spot right now, or a division winner, they would be massive underdogs. Going up against the Red Sox or the Rays, maybe not massive underdogs against a division opponent if they were to play, I don't know, the Guards or the White Sox or the Astros, who are struggling. They'd still be underdogs, not massive, but they don't hold a chance. What kind of pitching staff do they have for the postseason outside of Joe Ryan?
who got hurt. By
Yes.
the way, he's not even available for him. So, yeah, which is hysterical. But look at these standings. You got the White Sox, sitting on top. Detroit is now somehow managed to play themselves into second in the Central, Tom. And then Minnesota has a better record than the Guardians. And nobody feels like they spent or made more moves than the Guardians at the break. But even the Guardians are just 4 games out. To me, somebody's got to win. I don't know that we're getting a second team from that division. So a 4-game lead doesn't feel like it's safe for the White Sox either in the Central, no?
It doesn't, and so much of both wild card races, really, especially in the AL, it's like, we always talk about like, it's like someone's got to win it. It's like, just don't lose. It feels like all these teams are just losing. Like the Astros, this recent stretch that the Astros have been on, you're losing a series, to the Giants. You lost it to the Padres. And all of a sudden, what was a surging hot team is now just half a game up over the Rangers, who could very easily win that division. And then before you know it, then the Astros are out of the playoff picture. So just don't lose it. And I think that should be the mantra for these teams coming down the final 6 weeks. Just don't lose.
Yep. Yeah, and somebody's got to win that division, but the Central and the West is by far in the American League. It's a dumpster fire. I mean, it's absolutely gross. You've got now Houston, who can't beat the Giants, which is hilarious. It's 1-0 still in that one, but 1 game over 500. Texas can't hit. We saw that last night, how they were only able to score 2 runs against one of the worst Major League Baseball pitchers that we have seen in Johnson last night for the Angels. I mean, they're just atrocious. And then Seattle is doing exactly what we've been telling folks here. Cal Rowley's telling everyone, yeah, I'm awful. Yeah, no, we're very well aware how awful you are, as well as the rest of that team. And by the way, it ain't getting any better tonight here against Will Warren. I don't, what, are they supposed to flip a switch, Seattle, somewhere that I missed at 56-64 in the season, Tom?
No, they're just not a good team.
No.
That's just what it comes down. The offense isn't good enough. And when you relied last year so much on Cal Raleigh and the long ball to, a rising tide lifts all ships type of scenario where players get on base, he hits a home run, he knocks them in, via a double. That's great for the offense. But when he struggles, that can't be the turning point. One player can't be your entire offense. I would say it's about a lot of teams. But when he's struggling and Josh Naylor hasn't lived up to expectations, and some of the young players that they have called up and gave extensions to, they haven't showed up. Like, the bottom is really, really lower. We should have viewed it as being very low for the Mariners. Even though their pitching staff's great, the offense is so inept. We can't possibly trust them to score runs or even do enough to win a series against a beatable opponent.
Ugly. When I tell you ugly. And who'd have thunk it, really, that the American League East, Tampa, Yankees, and the Red Sox really are the class of the American League. Now, you figured the Yankees were going to be there, but I don't know. What was your expectation for Boston heading into this year? It's one of the best turnaround stories that we have seen here, but I still think there's a lot of holes on this team, but they are by far, I just think, heads and tails over anything in the Central or the West at this point.
I would take the Red Sox in a series, in a playoff series against either of those
anybody, right?
Teams. Yeah, from those divisions. I think that's, give me Red Sox, White Sox, Red Sox, Rangers. I think that's fine. Coming into the year, I think a lot of people were on the same page. Like, hey, it's going to be the Blue Jays and the Yankees up at the top of the division. The Red Sox, I think they were good enough to be a wild card team. The Rays going to be pesky. Can the Orioles bounce back? And some of that has come true. The Yankees are in a playoff spot. The Rays are obviously unbelievable, and they're torching teams right now. It really comes down to the Red Sox and what kind of form they're in, because they are appearing to be an extremely streaky team. And if they can kind of right the ship and be hot the last 2 weeks of September, I would take them in a series going up against any other team from either of the other 2 divisions.
And it's amazing to me how some of these teams, 80% of the teams, Tom, they're terrible at home this year. Terrible in the American League at home. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid. All right, welcome back in. Here we go. Game time decisions on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio as we're keeping an eye on these afternoon games here still going on. Actually, a couple of good ones. Houston actually scored a run, Tom. That's hard to believe. 1-1 here in the top of the seventh. They're playing, of course, the Giants. You've got really good pitchers battle between the Padres and the Brewers going on right now. It does look like Tampa's about to close out. The Athletics are in the top of the ninth, 8-4 in that one. I do believe this will be a 9-0 West Coast trip. If they win this one, they'll head home Friday. They'll start a home series then. But yeah, I don't think anybody's done a better job of beating sub 500 teams than the Tampa Bay Rays this year, Tom. And I guess that is really got to be the question. Do you believe that, yes, Tampa's won the games they're supposed to win, but are we buying that that's good enough to win the games they're not supposed to win at times here?
That's a big question. You know, the Rays overperforming and beating preseason expectations by so much. They're unbelievable at home, as we just saw. They are constantly getting good pitching performances. They are putting up runs when they need to. They can win low-scoring games. They have a great back end of the bullpen with Brian Baker. Like, they kind of check off all the boxes that you possibly want. The question becomes is when they have to go on the road in a postseason series, how much can we trust them? You know, what if the hitting dies down a little bit? What if they lose a game at home? Because they're great at home. They're obviously not perfect at home. But if they were to host a series and they lose one of those games, does that set them up to fail? So that's really the question about the Rays, because if they are truly the class of the AL, they're going to have home field advantage throughout, and you're getting them at the Yankees are the favorite right now. And that's just, again, a risk thing for the books. But you get the Rays at a great price to win the AL, knowing that they've home field the entire time.
Yeah, and it's, I think, remains to be seen, right, Tom? I mean, on paper it looks, but it really does feel like it remains to be seen here. And I got to play the believe it when I see it card. There's no reason for them not to. I do think, obviously, they've done with half the payroll what teams only wish they can do there. But they were so good. 41-18 at home this year. But you got to get the schedule really played into their hands, Tom. And even when they go out west here and you start beating up the Seattles of the world and the Athletics of the world, the remaining schedule it's kind of favorable here. There's not a lot except for a series against the Yankees here in Boston. But I think we're going to learn a little something over the next 4 to 6 weeks to see whether they can be a contender or a pretender. And I'm talking about not just in the American League pennant, but can they win it all, Tom? Is that even, can you look at them and go, yes, they got the pitching, the hitting, they got the bullpen. Can they get it done and run the table? That remains to be seen for me.
I would say the same. Frankly, I still think I would take the Braves in a series straight up over the Rays.
Yeah.
So I put the Rays, okay, we want to put the Dodgers in the top tier. That's fine. It really comes down to who's that next tier. And to me, it's comprised of, let's call it in order, the Braves, the Brewers, the Rays, the Yankees, the Phillies, in that order specifically. Yeah. So I think they're in that second class, but I'm not sure they have enough to beat the Dodgers. And again, if they run a little bit cold in the postseason, they have to run into the Yankees or even a red-hot Red Sox team. That could spell trouble for them.
Yep, big time. And we're gonna see here. I do think home field will matter for them if they can continue to run the table and grab that, but. I'm hearing Stanton now is a week away from also getting back into the rehab situation there. We know Judge and the light work. Best case scenario, they're back when, Tom? September?
Yeah.
Regular season?
Stanton, Bellinger, Judge apparently is the order that they'll return. And I think it's going to be September 15th. If they can all be back by September 15th, let's call it a month from now, they can all be back. I think you start off Judge as just the DH. You don't have him playing the field. You don't want to stress things too much. And then as the final week of the season goes on, he can ramp up on field. He plays a game or two in the outfield. and then you'd be ready to roll. And that's what makes the Yankees dangerous, is that if they have a postseason as they did 2 years ago when Judge and Stanton were hitting a million home runs, that's something that most teams can't keep up with. And the fact that the Yankees have top-tier pitching and one of the best pitching staffs and have 3 game-1 starters essentially that you could be throwing out there between Fried, Schlittler, and Cole, knowing that you could still bring in someone like Will Warren or Carlos Rodon and bring them out of the bullpen in a series and still get your 4 innings out of those guys.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think it's top heavy, but I do think it's going to be fun to watch how this all goes on down the stretch, because they've yet to go through that big lull too. We'll see. You got to be playing the best baseball at the right time. That's what it's all about. Now, you and I yesterday, Tom, we mentioned the unbelievable hat giveaway at the White Sox game last night, right? I saw those. I saw a report of the hat. I want one. I don't know how that is just an amazing idea. What they give, 20, 30,000 of them away or something along those lines? They had a sellout there. They were immediately being sold on eBay afterwards, I think, for about $70-80 here. Did the White Sox blow it last night?
They did. Especially when they were up, what was it, 4-1? And they blew against a team like the Reds, nonetheless, that have been extremely mediocre and are, clinging to any hope. Not even a wild card spot. They're clinging to hope of a wild card spot. And the White Sox have been great at home. So it was a super fun giveaway. Those are those hats and the promotion that they have. Honestly, whoever came up with that and then got it approved and got those things made in the prototypes, that's unbelievable. Unreal. And they deserve some type of credit.
Yeah, they were giving away Pope hats. It was Pope hat last night because apparently he's a White Sox fan. And they just took that and ran, and people were lining up to go get them and then immediately put them up for auction on eBay, Tom. What a great idea. Unbelievable. And the White Sox blew the game when it mattered the most. Unreal. Great promotion, though. All right, coming up here, we've got a update for you in a couple of spots here. Can Arizona make a comeback? 6-2 down, heading into the bottom of the 7th. They again left more runners on base. It's going to be a close one. We've got you covered here as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
For me, Ohtani is the MVP, even if he pitches 15 games a year and that's it. The guy's the best hitter in baseball, or one of them, and pitches, even if it's 15 games a year and he's great. Sign me up. I think he still wins, but I think I like the other investments there.
Yeah, I would say we're in total agreement on this. Ohtani's going to win the award, but that doesn't mean that A, he's a good investment at this point, and B, another player isn't a good investment.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What Michigan have to play versus Penn State is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, like, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the conference. It's incredible.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
The dark days are ahead for the Warriors. And when Curry and Kerr and Draymond all leave, what are we going to be looking at that franchise that has been a mainstay of the NBA, the face of the NBA and NBA playoffs for so long? Where are they going to be? So I see no issue with them bringing Draymond back. Why not? You have one last go at things with the trio that they still have there. But I see this as a very long season.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Just can't win the big game. He can't get us in the big game. Well, we got to let him go now because we're tired. We'll keep the quarterback. So, you know what I've been saying? Okay, you kept the quarterback. Guess what? Mr. Lamar Jackson, it's on you now.
Hey,
It's on you.
Absolutely.
Right? It's on Lamar.
It is totally on him now and the new coaching staff there.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
All right, right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio as we look to close up this first hour together. Plenty of Major League Baseball games coming up still. We've got a couple of them just finished up, including Tampa Bay. 8-4 is the final, so they sweep this West Coast road trip. They just swept Seattle. They headed into Sacramento, took care of the Athletics for 3. So now they'll get a day off and resume on Friday back in Tampa. But a couple other pretty good games right now. This is a pretty good pitchers battle. Dusty May looks like he's still in right now for the Brewers. 2-1, bottom of the 6th. I thought these games would be a little bit closer than what they last night was just an absolute blowout. This was kind of more of what I thought we were going to get. We got that the first game, but again, a 2-run homer late, I think, was what did it for the Padres. It feels like this is the same situation. It's going to come down, very low scoring, and that's kind of what I expected from both these teams in this series, except yeah, we got a ton more runs than I thought we were going to get last night.
Yeah, a lot more. And, I said this last week or the week before whenever we were doing shows, especially this point in the season when we're dealing with two teams that are firmly in the hunt, especially the Padres as of late. It's like, I like playing a lot of these series just zigzag. It's like, all right, team A won the first one. I'll be on team B, the under, the over. You just keep going back. Like, we're not going to have this type of offense when we have these types of pitching staffs consistently. So we had an over, we're looking to an under. We did just see the Astros put a run on the board. So they were down 1-0 for the longest time now. In the top of the 8th, they had a leadoff triple by Taylor Trammell, I believe it was. Then we get a sac fly to knock them in. So the Astros clinging to life now as they lost last night. They need to get back on track. They immediately jumped to minus 550 on the live line. And these are not games that they can be losing. When you have the Rangers a half a game behind and they lost last night to the Angels, the Astros have got to pick up these wins. So Dustin May continues to cruise. Astros take the lead, and we got another set of games coming up in about 40-ish minutes.
Yep. At the top of the hour here, we'll get 6 o'clock. Guardians, Tigers, Pirates at the Marlins, and the Cubs and the Nats will get ready to do battle. And that'll give way, of course, to the 7 o'clock starts, which will include the Yankees. Game 2 in the Bronx against Seattle. I think that's an interesting one. Speaking of going the wrong direction, are the Red Sox. Boy, are they going to... It's easy to win all those games in a row. All of a sudden, you start losing a few in a row, and you start questioning yourself. That's an interesting one in Toronto. The Mets and the Braves will also be on tap, along with the Reds and the White Sox. Late games, Royals, Dodgers, and Rangers, Angels. And something tells me if you're having trouble sleeping, then turn on that Rangers and Angels game, Tom, because nothing cures insomnia like trying to watch these two lineups actually score runs. And I don't care who's pitching. Not good here. And I really want the Rangers to win the West. They were my preseason pick, if you will, to actually come. I thought they were going to have a really good bounce-back season, but they're getting harder and harder to watch and harder to trust offensively here. And there's no excuse. Seager's hitting $130. I mean, look at that lineup right now.
It's terrible. And I said it coming into the season. I have a position on the Rangers to make the playoffs, not to win the division, just to make the playoffs at plus 120. And I was along the same lines, like they're going to have a bounce back season. The pitching staff is good enough, and I think the hitting will bounce back. And they're making it stressful. They're showing that they're just a 500 team. Now it helps that the rest of the AL wildcard race is much of the same, where no one wants to win any games, so they can stay in the mix. They could easily win the division. That's what it comes down to. They are 60-60 or whatever it is at this point. They could easily win the division, which is not something you thought you would say with that kind of mediocre baseball. As for the Red Sox, the long winning streak, not just the winning streak being super hot. Now they're facing a team that just doesn't want to give up on the season, and the Blue Jays, they also just don't want to get embarrassed at home. So they took the first 2 games. Tonight's game is really interesting. We'll get into it a little bit later, but Ranger Suarez against newly acquired Jose Soriano for the Blue Jays. I'll just say this. I'm not super high on Soriano. I think the Red Sox do bounce back tonight.
I did not understand that trade, but okay. Whatever you want to do there, Toronto. Oh, by the way, Rashman I think he had an infield single last night, so things are looking up for the catching position for what they gave up for an infield single. Should be interesting there moving forward with the Red Sox. But a couple of great pitching battles we're going to talk about here also coming up because I'm fascinated with this Detroit and Guardians game coming up. Now, Detroit, Riley Green just went on the IL. 10-day IL looks like hamstring or something going on with that. But this is Framber versus Foster Griffin. I think this could very well be the pitching battle of the night. We'll talk more about it as we got another hour of game time decisions coming your way here on the Grid.
For me, Ohtani is the MVP, even if he pitches 15 games a year and that's it. The guy's the best hitter in baseball, or one of them, and pitches, even if it's 15 games a year and he's great. Sign me up. I think he still wins, but I think I like the other investments there.
Yeah, I would say we're in total agreement on this. Ohtani's going to win the award, but that doesn't mean that A, he's a good investment at this point, and B, another player isn't a good investment.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What Michigan has to play versus Penn State is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, like, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the it's incredible.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You know, the dark days are ahead for the Warriors. And when Curry and Kerr and Draymond all leave, what are we going to be looking at that franchise that has been a mainstay of the NBA, you know, the face of the NBA and NBA playoffs for so long? Where are they going to be? So I see no issue with them bringing Draymond back. Why not? You have one last go at things with the trio that they still have there. But I see this as a very long season.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Just can't win the big game. He can't get us in the big game. Well, we got to let him go now because we're tired. We'll keep the quarterback. So, you know what I've been saying? Okay, you kept the quarterback. Guess what? Mr. Lamar Jackson, it's on you now.
Hey,
It's on you.
Absolutely.
Right? It's on Lamar.
It is totally on him now when the new coaching staff there.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in Game Time Decisions, and a very happy Wednesday to you. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio, as we got a couple of games still going on in Major League Baseball. We got a few games getting ready to start a little bit later this hour. And, of course, it's a lot of fun this time of year as we're about 2 weeks into the month of August, and the next 4 weeks in Major League Baseball really is what is going to separate the pretenders from the contenders. A lot still to be decided as far as who makes the postseason, who doesn't, and who is yet to play their best baseball. We're going to go through all those games still on the docket here. And major NFL, preseason football kicking off tomorrow. And, Tom, it was funny. You and I, we talked last hour about, man, there's a couple of quarterback situations that the coaching what we're getting from the head coaches is laughable. We know Tua is starting the preseason game on Friday, which is great. Looking very forward to it for the Atlanta Falcons, mostly because, well, who else is going to start there, given the fact that Penix Jr. is still hurt? He's not going to be available. But Stefanski playing coy and says, yeah, he's going to start the preseason, but I'm not ready to decide who or to name a starter for week one. Okay. Todd Monken did the same thing for the Browns earlier today when asked who's going to start the preseason. Forget about starting the year. Who's going to be the preseason starter? And he said, well, I don't know, and I'm not prepared to say yet, but whoever it's going to be is going to play the entire first half of their first preseason game. And I guess we now know who that's going to be for the Browns.
It's going to be Deshaun Watson starting in week 1. They also said that Shedeur Sanders would start week 2. Obviously not going to play in the whole game. They will play, X amount of time. Then we'll see some Dylan Gabriel and Taylor Green after that. And it's going to be a big proving point for both of them because as of now, again, it looks like Deshaun Watson, I'm not going to say he's been great or he's just been better. And they're both making mistakes as far as I can see all the reports that I read of, the training camp practice reports and interceptions and incompletions. That's what it comes down to. Again, I also think that there's just some level that the Browns front office needs to validate the trade that they made and all the money that they gave to Deshaun Watson. So they'll simply just start him. So what we actually get from the Browns, I don't think it's going to be good this year. And a lot of people just want them to move on from Deshaun Watson, cut him, eat the salary, and then tank for one of those top QBs that we're going to see next April.
Yes, and I think that's a great approach, too, if they're going to do that. But there are, some teams that have decided, listen, I don't feel like having any more controversy. We learned yesterday that Kyler Murray is now going to be the starter for Minnesota here. He's beaten out J.J. McCarthy. A lot of questions about what does J.J. McCarthy do from here. And if you're J.J. McCarthy, yes, you had an opportunity, did not work out. Doesn't mean he can't have a career as a backup in the NFL. And he's with a pretty good organization with a pretty good head coach. But, at some point, yeah, that's you got backup written all over it. And I don't think that's a terrible thing, but I'm not sold on Kyler Murray either, though. Are you? Although he's got a pretty good quarterback. He's got a pretty good wide receiving crew to be able to throw the ball to. But, yeah, he had pretty good receivers in Arizona, too, and he still couldn't get it done.
No, he couldn't. And, I think a lot of things are true in this scenario. Once we got Kyler officially named the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, I think Kyler is better. I'm not saying Kyler is great. I think Justin Jefferson may have played a part in this discussion and this decision. A lot of people are alluding to that he simply wants Kyler to start. At least we have a proven quarterback. Again, I'm not saying Kyler's great, but he's at least proven that he can throw the ball downfield and pile up yards and get touchdowns. Because ultimately, keeping Justin Jefferson happy is a part of the equation for the Vikings, because if he's not happy with the quarterback situation and the development of the quarterback situation, he's going to ask out. And that is a detrimental thing for the Vikings. So keeping him happy is a part of this. We're going to need some time from J.J. McCarthy. He needs to develop. And also his just ability to be there, availability is the best ability is a cliche, but he did not prove that he could stay healthy. So, and I'm not talking about the knee injury from a couple of years ago. I'm talking about last year. He just couldn't stay healthy throughout the season. So he's got a lot of learning to do. He's got a lot of development to do. Hopefully, KOC in the Vikings organization can take care of that. And then maybe they have a plan after Murray, but it's Murray. And I think that's the right decision.
I do. Listen, I do too. You can't. We saw enough, I think, to go, oh, this is not going to be good. There's a lot of other question marks with that Minnesota team, by the way.
Sure.
So the defense took a step back last year as well. So they are going to have to figure some things out. But the one thing they don't have to figure out, and the one thing in this kind of situation you don't want hanging over the team, Tom, is who the hell's our quarterback? And at least they have figured that out because, if you got to call Carson Wentz up or, if you got to be – see if Phillip Rivers can leave the high school team he's coaching. Things have gone terribly wrong for your organization. Now, I don't expect to see some guys either over the preseason games. They say Bo Nix could play by the second game, anything, but do you need to see anything else from Bo Nix here, Tom, if you're Denver? Is there anything else you need to see from him?
See from him in terms of proving his skill? No. I think they.
Right. He's your starter, right?
Right. I think they just want to see him be like, hey, I'm healthy. I can take a hit and I'll be fine just mentally. I think I always just generally want to see players at least give him 2 series in the second week or whatever it is and then rest him and then he's totally fine. So come week 1, the team has confidence. He has confidence. They can move on. He can take a hit. No one's going to be like holding their breath the first time he gets sacked. At least do that. For all players, then rest him and get ready because the Broncos have a great offensive line. They have some really interesting, talented pieces around Bo Nix. They bring in Jalen Waddle in the offseason. Like, they are set up, and especially with that defense and those edge rushers, they are set up to be a playoff team year in and year out. Great coaching. It's just a matter of, can they refine things a little bit compared to last year, get another year of development out of Bo Nix, and really get over the hump, because it is a very tough division and conference just to make the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, I think it's a huge year for Bo Nix, because this is the year that then gets him that contract that makes him the face of the Denver Broncos, right? So if I'm Bo Nix, listen, it was a great year last year. You're going to have people who are, oh, your schedule was cake. It was the defense. It wasn't you. We all know he's tough. We all know he played for like 10 years in college, but neither here nor there. I think this is the year that he locks it up. Like, his career is set as the Denver franchise quarterback if it works out well here. And I think the running game should be good again for Denver. So I think I think that's a pretty good situation. I think the same thing for Bryce Young and the Panthers. We saw him take that step last year, Tom, right? He finally looks like the game has slowed down for him. Yeah, I think it's time this year, right? Same situation here, where if he takes that next step and we see it, he's your franchise quarterback. I don't see any reason to even doubt it with Canales at this point, but he's got to do it this year.
I would agree. And the expectation that the Panthers had going into last year and now where they are this year, if you are expecting them to be a borderline playoff team every year in and year out, you need a quarterback that's going to, bring you along the way. And getting Jonathan Brooks back, their running back, you have the reigning offensive rookie of the year with Ted McMillan. There are pieces around on the offense. Now, the offensive line is middling, and not being able to protect your franchise quarterback is a huge, huge deal. But if Bryce Young struggles and continues just to be okay, that's when it will be the loudest for the Panthers, because they can't fall back on saying, oh, we've been here before, we've done this, we've made the playoffs. No, it's a one-hit wonder to this point, and they need to continue to prove it and continue to take steps forward in order to ensure their spot. And again, which is a very winnable division in the NFC South. Anyone can win that division.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's going to be a great year for him. Him and Chuba Hubbard, I think, are the guys. But they have Trevor Etienne. They got A.J. Dillon. They got some running backs. They got some weapons around them, but it's got to happen this year. Otherwise, they're back to square one. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
For me, Ohtani is the MVP, even if he pitches 15 games a year and that's it. The guy's the best hitter in baseball, or one of them, and pitches, even if it's 15 games a year and he's great, sign me up. I think he still wins, but I think I like the other investments there.
Yeah, I would say we're in total agreement on this. Ohtani's going to win the award, but that doesn't mean that A, he's a good investment at this point, and B, another player isn't a good investment.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What Michigan have to play versus Penn State is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, like, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the it's incredible.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
The dark days are ahead for the Warriors. And when Curry and Kerr and Draymond all leave, what are we going to be looking at that franchise that has been a mainstay of the NBA, the face of the NBA and NBA playoffs for so long? Where are they going to be? So I see no issue with them bringing Draymond back. Why not? You have one last go at things with the trio that they still have there. But I see this as a very long season.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Just can't win the big game. He can't get us in the big game. Well, we got to let him go now because we're tired. We'll keep the quarterback. So, you know what I've been saying? Okay, you kept the quarterback. Guess what? Mr. Lamar Jackson, it's on you now.
Hey,
it's on you.
Absolutely.
Right? It's on Lamar.
It is totally on him now in the new coaching staff there.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio. A couple of Major League Baseball games still underway. Two, in fact, are really good pitching battles right now. Houston 2-1 over San Francisco. They are in, I think, the bottom of the ninth now, right? Hader is in, looking to close it out for them. You also have great pitching battle. Robbie Ray going up against Dusty May. Brewers and the Padres. That's still 2-1 Brewers. I think they're in the top of the eighth inning in that one. And listen, the amount of guys that the Diamondbacks have had on base and left standing there, they only have 3 runs, but they keep putting traffic on the base pass, which means there's an opportunity, Tom, for them to still come back and win this game. But right now, it's still 6-3. The Rockies on top there, and I think that one is heading to the bottom of the eighth. But a pretty good pitching, 2 really good pitching battles here in these afternoon games.
They have, and the Giants just had a fly out to the warning track in the bottom of the ninth against Hader. Is this a closeout out here? League rounds out. Astros with the come from behind win. They were down again up until, the top of the eighth, and got that triple and a sac fly. So manufacturing runs for the Astros, a huge win for them in their division race, wild card race, whatever you want to call it. And the Brewers 2-1, to your point, May was fantastic for the Brewers. 7 innings, 6 strikeouts, only 1 earned run. And this has really been the Brewers' MO. You get up, you score a couple runs, you turn it over to the bullpen, and you win games. The question is, can you hold this Padres lineup that's been scorching hot over really the last month? Can you hold them for 3 or 2 more innings at this point and come away with a win? Because you lost the first 2 games and you need this type of, because we got to remember the Cubs are on fire right now and they're playing the Nats. So the Cubs are in a spot to pick up games with the Brewers slipping.
Yes, I agree here. And we've got a couple of games. I think there is an interesting pitching battle here tonight, and it could be the pitcher's duel of the night. Framber Valdez and Detroit at home taking on Foster Griffin and the Guardians. Now, Griffin's first go at in a Guardians uniform didn't go over all that well. But looking at these 2 teams here, Tom, number one, the Guardians can't hit lefties, number one. Number 2, the Detroit Tigers have been destroying lefties, in fact. Now, I know Riley Green is on the IL. They have lost him, but he wasn't great against lefties anyway. Gleyber Torres, Dingler, Torkelson, Javi Baez. They've got guys that are just crushing lefties. So Foster Griffin, he better be careful here, Tom, because if it's something I trust the Tigers offense at home way more than I trust the Guardians right now, given who's going to be on the mound for this game.
I can't trust the Guardians offense anywhere. At home, on the road, lefties, right? Like, they're just a bad offense when it comes down to it. And, when it comes to Framber, he's had a roller coaster of a season, and that's, putting him lightly. However, he's been pretty darn solid over his last stretch. Since the beginning of July, we're looking at a game with 5 earned runs. 1 earned run. Then he gets absolutely torched at Wrigley, where he doesn't even last an inning. Goes 0.2 of an inning, gives up 6 earned run. But since then, we have 3 straight starts, 2 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 0 earned runs. And, granted, it's not the highest level competition. The Athletics are in there. The Mariners are in there along with KC. But those are offenses that are comparable to the Guardians, who are not good. And Foster Griffin, again, I think is a really good pitcher. I didn't think it was the right move for Cleveland to pick up another pitcher. They need offense, not pitching. But give me the Tigers in this spot. I think they continue to roll. Their offense has been scorching hot. They're half a game out of a wild card spot. You think, they trade Skubal. They're packing their bags up. The season's over. They can make the playoffs without a Cy Young candidate on their roster.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And again, they are absolutely destroying lefties over the last couple of weeks. Foster Griffin, dating back to his last start with Washington, by the way, 11 earned runs over his last 9 1/3 innings. Not great. And you mentioned Framber has been very, very good. Whatever it is, he figured it out here because he's looked a lot more like the Framber of old. He's also, you know what else is great? He's a ground ball guy. What is he, 54% ground ball rate? So you're not going to have, one swing of the bat is not going to get it done here. And you mentioned, I think the only reason we're seeing Guardians money, Tom, we've seen it all day, is because of the bullpens. I think last night Detroit had to use 5 relievers, right? Finnegan, Kenley Jansen, and I don't think that the Guardians had to use anybody. So they might be saying, all right, what happens when Framber gets out? Well, if that's the case, give me Detroit in the first 5, Tom. Give me the first 5, because I think that lineup will get the Foster Griffin way before the Guardians get the Framber.
I think it's a very fair way to assess it. This is, something that we talk about a lot when you like parts of the matchup between two teams, and specifically for baseball. It's like, hey, I'm gonna split the game in half. I'm just gonna take the part that I like the most. And you like the offense, you like the pitcher enough. I'm a little bit wary on the bullpen. I'll just take this because the Guardians' back end of the bullpen is great. We know that. Like we know that that's their strong point. But them not scoring, so taking a first 5 or laying half a run in the first 5 for the Tigers, I think is totally fine.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Look, I think it's going to be interesting. If Foster Griffin gets back to where he was, well, then it's just lefty against lefty, 2 very good lefties, but only one team actually hits him. So this is going to be interesting here. Framber taking on Foster Griffin. The other game coming up, our good friend Craig Mish is at. That's going to start here also in about 20 minutes. Modzinski is going for Pittsburgh. Junk is going for Miami. And call me crazy. The problem with Junk is lefties. They crush him. Yeah, I got 6, 7 lefties that Pittsburgh, who needs a win desperately, can throw up there. Stowers on the IL. I got no power. And I think Modzinski is much better than people realize. It feels like the wrong team might be favored here, Tom. What do you think?
Yeah, the Pirates, it looks like they're going to be rolling out 6 lefties, and it's going to be 4 straight at the top of the lineup, including some solid hitters. Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds, and Spencer Horwitz. They have some legit power. Jansen Junk, like there's always something missing. Like sometimes he doesn't give a whole lot of walks, but doesn't have strikeouts. Sometimes he's just not getting super deep into the game. At plus 104 for the Pirates. Bouncing back isn't the craziest thing after a Paul Skeens start. It's like, oh, they don't win the Paul Skeens start, but they win this one when Modzinski's on the mound.
Yep. Yeah, 320 lefties are crushing Junk this year. I like the chance of Pittsburgh getting it done. We've got more, though, as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
For me, Ohtani is the MVP, even if he pitches 15 games a year and that's it. The guy's the best hitter in baseball, or one of them, and pitches, even if it's 15 games a year and he's great, sign me up. I think he still wins, but I think I like the other investments there.
Yeah, I would say we're in total agreement on this. Ohtani's going to win the award, but that doesn't mean that A, he's a good investment at this point, and B, another player isn't a good investment.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What Michigan have to play versus Penn State is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, like, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the it's incredible.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
The dark days are ahead for the Warriors. And when Curry and Kerr and Draymond all leave, what are we going to be looking at that franchise that has been a mainstay of the NBA, the face of the NBA and NBA playoffs for so long? Where are they going to be? So I see no issue with them bringing Draymond back. Why not? You have one last go at things with the trio that they still have there. But I see this as a very long season.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Just can't win the big game. He can't get us in the big game. Well, we got to let him go now because we're tired. We'll keep the quarterback. So, you know what I've been saying? Okay, you kept the quarterback. Guess what? Mr. Lamar Jackson, it's on you now.
Hey,
It's on you.
Absolutely.
Right? It's on Lamar.
It is. It is totally on him now and the new coaching staff there.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Here we go. Game time decisions on the SportsGrid Network. Looking to get you guys all set up here as we've got 3 games coming up in about the next 25 minutes are going to take center stage in Major League Baseball. 2 games remain right now with the Arizona Diamondbacks trying to claw their way back into this game, Tom. 6-4. Guardians still up in front here. They've already hit a solo home run. They've left the world on base in this game. They've got another runner on, 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. But I still think Arizona is live. I still think they got a good shot of coming back and scoring a couple of runs here off of this bullpen. And we still got a 2-1 game. Milwaukee on top here, trying to salvage at least one in this series against the Padres. And yeah, they got to be careful here, although I do think they have all of their leverage arms available since that blowout yesterday, 11-2. They didn't really use anybody. So they'll have an opportunity to get this thing closed here if they can hold on in the top of the 8th, up a run.
Right. And with the Rockies, we got 2 runners on for the Diamondbacks. They just had another single. So first and second with 2 outs. The Diamondbacks are at plus 400 on the money line. We're dealing with 10.5 live total at this point. You got to think that the Diamondbacks can at least put one more run on the board against this terrible Rockies bullpen when it's all said and done. The Brewers-Padres game is far more interesting because we're looking at 2 teams that are fighting for as many wins as they can possibly get. Do we trust the Brewers to close this out? And if so, are they going to score another run? And if not, can we look to lay the run in half? Do we take the run in half? 2 outs with 2 on as well for the Padres, and Gary Sanchez up at the plate. We actually have some evening drama on today's baseball slate.
Yeah, it's kind of these late afternoon games here actually turning out to be very interesting here, these 2 games. We'll keep you posted on those. We've got a bunch more still to come here. We've talked about the Detroit and the Guardians game coming up. We talked about the Marlins and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates trying to get back in the win column. And then you've got the Nats with their coveted rookie, I think, calling up to pitch in this one, Kent, here tonight, right? And Peterson's going for the Cubs. Feels like an over, smells like an over, but this kid Kent apparently is highly touted here. Have you heard anything about him, Tom?
I brief of what I've read by him and some of the stats I was looking at before, which I have now, like a 27.2% strikeout rate in the minors is awesome. Like that's a really good. But when we generally see that a strikeout rate for any pitcher, we generally see that decline as they get to the major leagues 11. A hitter is hitting 315 in the minor leagues. He's not going to hit 315 in the majors because the skill level is higher. So the issue I would see for him, at least as of now, would be any fly balls. He does have a 34.6% fly ball rate it's not spring training, in the minor leagues this year, which isn't terrible. But with the weather and the hot temperatures that we have in Washington, it does shape up to be a little bit of a precarious spot. Also, do we think he's going to be out there for 6 or 7 innings? No. Therefore, we're just going to get more exposure to the Nats bullpen, which just means runs are going to come because it's terrible. So I think they have him out there and they get his feet wet for 4 innings, but that means 6 innings of Nats bullpen.
Yeah, exactly the problem. And David, listen, I mean, they should be able to get some runs. You got David Peterson on the mound here for the Cubs. So, I mean, there's not going to be any sort of shutdown situation here by the Cubs. But this kid's 23 years old. I think he was a 4th-round pick in 2024. He's made his way. And like you said, he certainly has the velocity and the strikeouts in Double-A. We're gonna get a pretty good idea on what he does against a Cubs lineup here that has been red hot. I mean, it's again feels like an over, does it not? 9.5. Are we even at 10? I don't think we're at 10 yet.
No, I'm certainly on board with the over. I'm seeing 9.5. It is minus 110 on both sides. I will say I specifically like CJ Abrams tonight for 2+ HRR. You can get that up to plus 109 with various boosts out there, specifically on FanDuel with the promos. But I think CJ Abrams continues to crush, specifically at home versus lefties. It is a lefty-lefty matchup. That doesn't really matter for him. He's been on fire.
No, he's been absolutely awesome here. Also coming up just after the top of the hour, Yankees looking to make it 2 in a row against Seattle. First one who scores likely wins that game. We'll talk about that. You've got Boston and Toronto. Don't forget, we got the Mets and Atlanta, too, in a rubber match here with the Mets taking game 1, Atlanta taking last night. Tyler Mahle versus Thornton in that one. So some interesting pitching battles taking center stage. And then, of course, can the White Sox win a game at home with their new Castillo on the mound here tonight? We'll have to talk about it, though, as Game Time Decisions gets you ready. We'll be back with more after this on the Grid.
For me, Ohtani is the MVP, even if he pitches 15 games a year and that's it. The guy's the best hitter in baseball, or one of them, and pitches, even if it's 15 games a year and he's great. Sign me up. I think he still wins, but I think I like the other investments there.
Yeah, I would say we're in total agreement on this. Ohtani's going to win the award, but that doesn't mean that A, he's a good investment at this point, and B, another player isn't a good investment.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What Michigan have to play versus Penn State is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, like, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the it's incredible.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You know, the dark days are ahead for the Warriors. And when Curry and Kerr and Draymond all leave, what are we going to be looking at that franchise that has been a mainstay of the NBA, you know, the face of the NBA and NBA playoffs for so long? Where are they going to be? So I see no issue with them bringing Draymond back. Why not? You have one last go at things with the trio that they still have there. But I see this as a very long season.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Just can't win the big game. He can't get us in the big game. Well, we got to let him go now because we're tired. We'll keep the quarterback. So, you know what I've been saying? Okay, you kept the quarterback. Guess what? Mr. Lamar Jackson, it's on you now.
Hey,
It's on you.
Absolutely.
Right? It's on Lamar.
It is totally on him now and the new coaching staff there.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio as we are getting you ready to do just that. Make some Game Time decisions here. Some really good ones in Major League Baseball coming your way. Don't forget, preseason football is back tomorrow as well. T-minus, 18 days and counting until week 0 in college football. So it is a beautiful time of year. But Tom, it's also beautiful watching the Yankees not be the home run or bust team that they were for years ago here for a long, long time. You know, one thing that all of the injuries have done for the Yankees is it forced them to be a scrappy team and have to claw out wins with good pitching. They upgraded the defense at shortstop. Who are we kidding there? And the starting pitch and the bullpen's great. So you know what? Yankees need to score 3-4 runs, and they're more than capable of winning games. They did so last night against Seattle. Not quite the crazy pitching matchup here, but Bryce Miller is another one like Paul Skeens that has lost 2 miles per hour over the last 3 or 4 starts. Has gotten absolutely lit up. It's clear you can see it. He has not been good. And who are we kidding? I mean, that's a lot of. Don't forget, they were bringing him back and giving him 2 innings. You know, he was acting like a bulk guy just to give 3 or 4, kind of stretch him out. He looked great early, but he looks like he's fatigued in a big way. And then you got Will Warren, who I can't figure out pitches better at Yankee Stadium. Even though lefties crush him, he's better at Yankee Stadium than he is on the road. I don't get it, but if it ain't broke, I'm not fixing it here, Tom. Feels like the Yankees will do just enough to win another one here tonight.
They will, and what yesterday's line was 8, if I remember correctly. It was a flat 8. And now we're getting an 8.5. And what have the teams done to prove that they're going to score and threaten 9 runs when it was 1-0 after 6 last night or 7, and we got the Ryan McMahon hit and they won the game? Like, what have they done thus far to prove that we should actually see a line increase from day to day? So, 8 yesterday, you could have got, the void, technically, if the Yankees would have won the game or anyone would have won the game 5-3 or whatever. But now we actually have the half run of insurance, and we're getting a better line in the same spot. Essentially, again, the pitchers aren't the same as they were, but still give me unders. Unders.
I agree. I mean, what is the team total at this price for Seattle, Tom? Like, you've got to be, look at the runs that Seattle has scored as a team over the last 2 weeks here. It's not like they're not they scored 2 last night. They've been shut out a couple of times. It's just, it has not been good for them. And listen, Will Warren, he is what he is, but it feels to me like he's at a comfort level at Yankee Stadium that, again, if it ain't broke, why are we fixing it? Is it 3.5? Is that the total?
Yeah, it's 4.5 for the Yanks, juice to the under, 3.5 for the Mariners, juice to the over. So you're getting plus 112 and under 3.5 for the Mariners. And listen, I think the Yankees under 4.5 minus 132. And I'll say this honestly, as a Yanks fan, as I say this, sometimes about a lot of my teams. If I bet the under and I win, great. The Yankees come in the game. If I lose this bet, the Yankees score 6 runs. I'm okay with kind of losing the bet every now and then. Like, we're all going to lose bets, and if it means my team succeeding, I'll take the emotional hedge out of it, or I'll take the emotional hedge, and that'll be my win from that.
Yeah, and then listen, the bullpen for the Yankees got a little worked last week, but they seem to be back on it now, scheduled, good to go. They have all of their arms ready, and listen, so does Seattle for that matter. I mean, Seattle. We forget that's a pretty good bullpen. They've had a rough stretch because the starting pitching has been atrocious. But for the most part, this is a top 10 bullpen as well. So I'm with you. Unless there's some crazy wind going on here, Tom, what are we missing tonight? I know Bryce Miller is a fly ball guy, but, do we trust the Yankees? Neither of these teams are hitting righties at all.
No.
Over the last couple of weeks, and that's the problem.
No, I'm seeing 5-ish mile per hour wind, and it's to left field. It's 84. It's not that humid today, but it's not like it's whipping out to the short porch. Right. It's to the opposite side. It's only 5 miles per hour. So there's nothing to suggest an 8.5 is a line that you should be too worried about.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. In fact, here. So yeah, I'm with you. I like the under in that spot there with the Yankees. The Mets taking on Atlanta. Tyler Miley on the line for Atlanta. Thought they would bounce back yesterday. They did. Martin Perez was actually pretty good. Mets got blanked. Mets sending Thornton out here, but I'm still seeing 8.5s. But Atlanta at home, even with Tyler Miley on the mound. What are we thinking?
I think yesterday's price was great on the Braves. Looking back on it, we talked about Nolan McLean was on the mound and it was Martin Perez, and we're talking like a minus 124 price was pretty good on the Braves. And this is where I think the Braves should be, and because it's just where the two teams are. Molly's okay when it's all said and done. I don't think he's amazing, but the 8.5. You think we're gonna get runs tonight? Because I'm very, very hesitant about this game. I think if I had to pick one, I'd lean over, but it's not with any type of confidence.
Well, I mean, his last 3 starts, one against the Yankees, he didn't give up any earned runs, right? He was beat up on the road at San Diego, but they've been beating everybody up. And then he blanked Milwaukee the start before that. So which version of him shows up. To me, he's going to have a version of him that he's been around the block here, knows what he's doing. My question is, do we trust this offense of the Mets to even make them pay? And I don't think we can here at this point, no?
If the Mets don't get 3, I think this would be an under. If they can get at least 3, I think you'd be in a spot to win it. We'll put it like that.
Yeah, and them at home, bullpen intact there for Atlanta, so we know how good that certainly can be. And it's been all Atlanta money, nearly a 20-cent move all day from the open, so it's been all Atlanta money there in the Mets. And I like this kid Thornton, but Atlanta has been crushing lefties over the last couple of weeks as well. They certainly have enough power in that lineup. Maybe a team total over here, you thinking, for Atlanta? Because at home, I think they always score at least 5 runs at Truist Park. Always at least 5, Tom.
I'm on board with it. Again, I think the Braves have the second best offense in the NL. That's the way I want to paint that picture. So I'm on board with them. If we could get something out of Matt Olson and Ozzy Albies to help some fantasy teams along the way for me, that'd be great. Right. So I'm on board with that.
We have a home run tonight, you think, in that one?
If anyone's going to be Drake Baldwin's always my pick at the top of the lineup. He gets some lineup protection with Acuna behind him, which I think was the right move. Or no, Baldwin's actually in the 2-hole today. But I'll still take Baldwin. I like his power. And once the Mets bullpen gets in, I don't care. That's a lefty-lefty matchup. I'll take the Mets bullpen.
Yeah, you got it, right? At that particular point, like, who are we kidding there? That's actually gross on so many levels. Here, quick look in, still 6-4, bottom of the 9th here. I think we got one out. Arizona's going to kick themselves for the opportunities that they had here. Dusty May came out for the 8th inning. I think he walked one guy. Now the bullpen is in. Still 2-1 Milwaukee here with a runner on first. But he had only had 80 pitches going into the 8th inning. What a start by them. What a pickup, by the way, for Milwaukee.
Yeah, great pickup by them. You know, he took some time to, kind of get his feet under him this season. You know, he's dealt with injuries, changing teams over the past few years. And, we were talking about, like, he had to learn a new way to pitch. He can't be the same pitcher he was prior coming up with the Dodgers that couldn't have the same fastball. He has to learn a different way. And listen, if he has a good postseason performance, he's gonna pitch himself into a new contract.
I agree, and I think it's coming for sure there. And kudos to the Cardinals for knowing he was a rental and managed to get something back for him. I don't even know how they managed to do that, too. Great job by the Cardinals organization, who won earlier, 7-1, by the way, and beat Zach Wheeler. So go figure. Much more to get to, though. Couple of games, including Dodger baseball, we'll talk about as Game Time Decisions continues on the Grid. All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we got to get you ready for a couple of more Major League Baseball games on the slate tonight. Still 2 games down to the final couple of outs here. 6-4, Rockies trying to close it with a runner on, tying runner at the plate here for Arizona. We'll see if they can get something done. And Milwaukee still up 2-1. Bullpen is in here. Although we got first and second with 2 outs now in the bottom of the 8th. So I still trust the Brewers bullpen there in that spot. All right, Tom. So we've got, we talked about Yankees, and I think it's over there in Colorado ends up getting it done. So they close out Arizona 6. But Arizona's they're going to kick themselves for losing a couple of games here in this series. But Red Sox haven't won a game in a hot minute, it feels like. And they've got, they got an interesting one coming up here tonight against Toronto. And listen, nobody gave in with Dylan Cease on him out. It felt like, everyone just assumed that once they got to the bullpen that, the Red Sox were going to handle business. Didn't work out that way last night. But do they have the right guy on the mound here tonight to get it done?
That's a great question. It's the question of the day. Are we going to get a decent price on the Red Sox, who were super hot up until the last, half week or so? A minus 126 money line price on the Red Sox seems pretty good. Plus, 116 on the Blue Jays for a home team. Are they getting hot right now? Are the Red Sox struggling? It's like, we're getting plus money on the home team against a team that's kind of slipping off and just coming back to the mean because the Red Sox were due for regression. I think the Red Sox bounce back personally. I'm not playing their money line. I am playing Jose Soriano under 5.5 strikeouts. It's a little bit more juicy. It's in the minus 145 range or so, but he's not a big strikeout pitcher. He has some good starts, but if you look back over his 10 game, last 10 starts for him, he has 4 starts where he's posted a sub 20% strikeout rate. And 2 of those starts, he posted a sub 10% strikeout rate. So, and if you look at the Red Sox month over month versus righties, they're actually not swinging and missing a whole lot in August. I'm not saying they're not struggling, but they're not wasting chances at the plate. At least they're putting the ball in play.
Ranger Suarez last couple of starts have not been great, Tom. I mean, he's kind of gotten tattooed here a little bit. I think in the last 2 starts, he's given up 6 runs, 6 earned runs, too. So it feels like, on the road, don't know if I trust him. And you're right about Soriano. I think runs are coming in this game. I don't know if that's crazy enough to think, but I'm with you. I think once we get to the bullpen of Toronto as well, I think some runs are coming in here. This feels like maybe not a bad home run prop situation. Maybe Abreu or somebody, whoever the lefty power is in the lineups, it feels like this might not be a bad game to go at it. But the total, it feels like we're getting runs here. We get 8 last night, I think. It's been a kind of a lower scoring series. But I think this might be the game where we get to be maybe a little bit of a wild shootout here tonight, Tom. I don't trust either bullpen either.
Well, no, and Toronto is a great hitter's park when it's all said and done. After the wall changes that they made a couple of years ago, it is a great park. The Blue Jays bullpen's been bad all year, and Soriano's never been a pitcher, even though he's predominantly a ground ball pitcher. He's never been a pitcher that can suppress hits because he pitches to contact. So when he gives up hits. He's given up 4, 5, 6 hits, and all of a sudden we got runners on, a walk here, a double here, a single there. All of a sudden the Red Sox have 3 runs before the 3rd inning, and that puts them in a spot to push this game over.
Yeah, the big difference, too, by the way, on these last couple of games here, 3 for 36 with runners in scoring position over the last 4 games for the Red Sox.
That's going to regress.
That's gonna, they were getting big hit after big hit after big hit during that winning streak, and guess what? All regresses back to the mean, right, Tom? At some particular point. So I do think runs could be coming though in this one here tonight. I'm not sure that we're getting runs with the White Sox and the Reds here tonight. Castillo's going for the White Sox. Rhett Lauder, who had been atrocious up to his last 3 starts, where he seems to have figured some things out. The bullpen of the Reds has been good, but the White Sox can't hit. That's the problem. The Reds can hit. The Reds have been hitting, but I've been back and forth with it. Was at 9, then it was 8.5, then it was 9. I don't know. The White Sox are going to have to do their share if this thing's going over. No.
I think they would. You'd have to get at least 3 out of the White Sox, maybe 4 if this game were to go over. I can't make heads or tails of the White Sox sometimes. They were super hot to start the year. It's like, okay, is the pitching good? It's like, oh, now the hitting is not good. They got Murakami back, but now the offense is there. And the same thing can be said about the Reds. It's like, I had so much hope in their offense coming into the year, but now they're scoring. The pitching should be terrible at home, and it's kind of good sometimes. Now they're on the road. This is a matchup where I have no action in any way. The 8.5 total, I'm seeing it juiced to the over, at least on DK. It's -122. I think you can play the money line on the Reds because I think the White Sox at -142, I think that's a bit much for Castillo, who hasn't been great. He's been okay, but he's not the same pitcher he once was.
No, he's not. And twist of fate, one of his starts, I think, a couple of weeks ago was against the Reds when he was with Seattle and gave up a couple of home runs, I think, in that game. Gave up at least three earned there. So it's not like the Reds haven't seen him before with an interleague matchup, because they did just see him a couple of weeks ago. And advantage hitters in that spot, Tom. No, when you get those rematches.
Yes. Oh, always. If the second time in a short period of time that the hitters see the pitcher, the hitters generally have the matchup. And the Padres, believe it or not, just tied a run on an infield single where we didn't get the proper first base coverage. And with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th, and we didn't get the proper first base coverage, it was that Cronenworth beats out an infield single and Tatis scores. So we got a 2-2 game now in the bottom of the 8th.
Ashby was late getting to first base. It was just terrible, absolutely terrible that he got beat. Although they're reviewing it, it looks like a tie. No, he was safe. That's just terrible. That is and that's usually not what the Brewers are all about, because they're usually a very good defensive team and they don't give runs like this. But yeah, Tatis just never stopped running, scored from second, and that was the end of that. So 2-2. In the bottom of the 8th. Boy, oh boy. You got the Dodgers coming up also tonight. Eric Lauer on the mound. We'll talk about that game as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid. right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we look to wrap up this edition together. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio, and we're watching the Brewers just kind of melt away right now, which is just crazy to me. They errors late at covering first, a pass ball, but they got out of it. They're heading to the top of the ninth, but it's now a 2-2 game. And just like that, the Brewers, Tom, are on the verge of another loss here, which did not see coming here as the Padres continue to figure out ways to be able to get to win games here, I guess.
It's looking that way, and we're gonna be in for a very tight race in the NL Central with the Cubs only 4 back. They're in a spot to potentially pick up a win tonight against the Nationals, as we spoke about the Nats calling up a young prospect to pitch. Their season's done. We know that. The Cubs are peaking at the right time. These teams play each other, I believe it's 6 more times over the next 6 weeks to close out the season. The Brewers have some offensive issues, and that is going to be their undoing when it comes to the postseason. It's great to hold a hot offensive team like the Padres to 1 run or 2 runs, whatever it is. But if you can only scratch across 2 of your own, it is a very thin margin of error and a very thin route to winning because you can't outslug the Dodgers with this type of lineup.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting here. We're going to see how they respond, but it could be another extra inning situation here, which is going to tax both these bullpens. That is for sure. But we'll keep an eye on it, let you know how it goes. You mentioned the Dodgers. Well, they finally put a couple of wins together, albeit against the Royals, and albeit total sweat jobs in both of them, as they had to once again win a game that looks like an extra innings last night. But now tonight, they're home. And, yeah, I mean, Lynch is going for the Royals, but they're working him back. So he's going to be an opener in this situation here. But Eric Lauer, who I just looking for ways to bet against, except for the Dodgers never lose his starts, it feels like. But the Kansas City is not rolled over in this series at all. They have had opportunities to win some games here. I think they're going to be a little feisty in this one as well, Tom.
I think it's reasonable to look to back the Royals, especially because we're getting such a good price. And we've talked about not buying into the Dodgers, who have been pretty mediocre in the last, call it 2 weeks, when we're dealing with a $2 favorite, which is just, for a sport in baseball, to back Eric Lauer as a $2 favorite. Don't bet that. You can bet on the Royals. It's Royals or pass. And if you want to take the Royals in the first 5 to keep it close, something along those lines, I think that's fine. But I can't get myself to bet on the Dodgers at a minus 210 price when Eric Lauer's on the mound.
I agree. Listen, the Dodgers were 9-0 in his starts, Tom, until the last one, which was against the Cubs, and the Cubs crushed them
last week
for 6 runs, right, in 11 hits. But prior to that, 9-0. But that's when the Dodgers were actually hitting and doing the right thing. So I'm with you. I mean, now listen, Blake Snell threw 6 innings and I think struck out everyone as a lefty there. Kansas City, not exactly, murderer's row that they've got rolling on there. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think early on, because I don't want anything to do with that bullpen. But the Dodgers bullpen's been pretty worked here too, no?
It has. So was this first 5 for the Royals? What are you looking? You get the Royals at plus, half a run at plus 104 in the first 5. 1.5 is probably too much. 1.5 is juiced at minus 178. So if you think the Royals keep it close, you get a plus money price through the first 5, and you don't have to worry about their atrocious bullpen.
I'm with you. I think I took him last night. I took that half a run in the first 5 with Walk on the mound, and I think it was nothing. Him and Blake Snell had a battle. They didn't end up scoring until later in that game when the bullpens came in. Shocker. I think we could be in for pretty much the same here in this one. Just don't trust Lauer at all. All right, we also got still 2-2, top of the 9th here. And the Padres certainly have, Mason Miller and I think Miller is out on the mound right now to try and hold things in place. but that should be a little bit of should be fun to watch. I can't believe he just walked the guy here to put the go-ahead run on base. We'll see how far that gets here with Milwaukee. Coming up, Gabe Morency, Kevin Walsh, though. We've got in-game live game day for you. They'll take the baton. They'll get you caught up right up until the end with this Milwaukee game and get you ready for a few more that have already started here. And what are we in the, I guess, couple of games also? No score, Pittsburgh, Miami. The Cubs and Washington, no score. And the Guardians, 2-0 over Detroit in the bottom of the first. Tom and I will see you again for more Game Time decisions. Stick around. In-game live is coming your way next on the Grid.